Most countries, even in Africa, are now gradually easing restriction measures as they turn attention towards saving their dwindling economy. And joining me to discuss this is a senior clinical lecturer at University of Exeter, Dr. Bharat Pakania. Good to have you join us, Dr. Bharat. And now we know that the World Health Organization has predicted that Africa could become the next epicenter of this virus with over 190,000 deaths. And yes, we're seeing a lot of countries in Africa ease their lockdown. Does this pose any problem?
I think I'm very concerned about Africa because if we have a runaway infection in Africa, it will generate a lot of cases and a lot of uncontrolled cases. And when you have a lot of uncontrolled cases, it is inevitable that you may have a lot of circulation for a long time, and maybe it becomes a permanent infection, not only for Africa, but for global world.
But there is also a challenge when it comes to the economy. Like you know, a lot of people are battling between saving lives and livelihood. So what is the balance between this when people are trying to say, look, let's look at the science of this, but let's also look at the economy?
I agree, and this is desperate times, but my control science tells me if you act hard, if you act fast, if you act immediately, if you do the right things immediately and in a big scale, you will recover faster. Therefore, it is incumbent upon all the African nations and your country to act very fast to keep the infection and the spread of the infection under control. Otherwise, what will happen is you will have uncontrolled runaway infection, which then becomes almost impossible to control. And I appreciate Nigeria has got a lot of rich people, but majority of people in Nigeria live in poor circumstances, and therefore we don't want this infection to enter into the community of the people of Nigeria. It will be bad news if it does.
So we're beginning to see that community infection in Nigeria. In fact, we're at the community transmission phase in Nigeria and some other countries in Africa. So what is the right response at this time?
You need to have a shutdown. And I appreciate that in Africa, it is not possible to have a European-style shutdown, but at least we can do our best. One of the things is because in your community, people live in very close proximity with each other, we got to say, listen, from now on, you need to wash your hands thoroughly, and you wash them, from the wrist upwards, and you wash it at least every 2 hours. And on top of that, start wearing a mask. And on top of that, if you are at all ill, stop circulating and get out of circulation, and tell all the people that you have been in touch with to also get out of circulation. We need to do this. If the government doesn't do it for you, you've got to do it for your own people and yourselves. This is very important.
So small businesses at the center of this this whole chaos, economic chaos coming from this outbreak. What can be done to ensure that the smaller businesses are sustained?
Well, as long as you operate safely, then there is no telling that you cannot operate. But what you've got to do is make sure that the people who are running the small businesses are not exposed to risk of infection, because Nigeria does need the small businesses to run, because a lot of people live on their daily bread. And therefore, the model that we adopt from European nations cannot apply to Nigeria. We've got to allow people to operate and work, but we say, under the circumstances, please work in a safer environment. The hand washing, the social distancing, the wearing of the mask, those would be simple things that we can implement immediately.
So we see several calls on Africa to begin to look inward in trying to curb the spread of this infection. Where can Africa look, and how should Africa look inward?
We need to help our fellow brothers and sisters in Africa. Africa may start looking inwards and controlling its own borders, but also we need to make sure that we supply help, logistics, and other expertise from the richer Western nations, because this is the time in our own self-interest to also help Africa and other poorer nations, where if the infection becomes widespread, we will all suffer as a result.
So do you agree with the 140 leaders who have signed a petition that the vaccine distribution should be equitable and not only for wealthy countries?
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. You know, it is absolute because this is a global issue and it should be applicable to all people on planet Earth. But with respect to vaccine, that is a long way away. We should not put all our eggs in the vaccine basket. The vaccine may arrive, it may never arrive. Therefore, we should have a multifaceted approach of controlling it with or without vaccines.
Dr. Bharat Pankhania, many thanks for sharing your thoughts with us on TVC News.